Hello and welcome to Life with Francie podcast, a place where you will find all kinds of conversation like mental health, self-love, self-care, trauma, hobbies, and more. With this podcast, I want to create a community where we support one another in personal or business life. Hope you enjoy this episode. Now, let's get the show started. On today's episode, I have the pleasure to talk to Jenn Geneve, I think. I hope I pronounced it right. And so we met through Facebook. I don't know which group was it. Maybe Women in Podcasting. Does that
I
sound
think so.
familiar?
I think
Yeah,
so.
because that's an amazing community. And usually my Facebook messages come from Women in Podcasting. So shout out to Jennifer Hensel and her
Mhm.
community. But anyways, we had been talking since fall of last year and we finally made it happen. So, just because it doesn't work at the beginning, the energy, you just wait. And now is the time. So let's welcome Jenn and tell us, what is life with Jenn?
Thank you so much for having me. Actually, I'm going to jump right to what you just said about us not connecting until now. I think that right off the bat, it's something to do with honoring your energy. And I remember we actually did have an appointment to meet up, and it just didn't feel like the right day. And that's okay. And you were fine with it, and I was fine with it, and here we are. We made it. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm so glad when you reached out. I was so excited.
That's so cool. Thank you. Life with Jen. Wow. I'm a female entrepreneur. I'm a participant in a handful of family businesses. The main one is our skincare brand, where I'm talking to you from right now. It's LaVigne Natural Skincare, which is a brand founded by my mom in 2003, and we still work together every day. Our brand of products is focused around a really neat tree bark ingredient from Mexico called Tepescohuite, and it is renowned as an indigenous healing ingredient for the skin by the Mayans for forever and ever. It's amazing. So that's where I spend the majority of my daytime working life. I'm a mom of two kids. They're 9 and 11. I'm married. I'm typical, like a suburban, busy working mom with a lot on the go and managing a lot in each week, I guess.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And we also talked about you trying to share a positive message as well. So I'm excited to have this conversation. So yeah, how did the journey started with the company? Are you just taking after your mom, or is it just a family business?
It's an idea for a skincare product that my mom had way back then. We're actually celebrating our 20th year this year.
Wow.
And I had been living overseas for almost 3 years in Australia, where my husband's from. And I came back to Canada, and it was time to look for work here, and ended up in a conversation with my mom about working with her. And we had no idea if it would be a month, a year, or how long, but that was 16 years ago now. So seems to be working well for us. And yeah, the other businesses I have with my husband, he has a renovations company, and an offshoot company from that is a custom cabinet business. So 3 different family businesses, and yeah, it's a busy week.
Oh my goodness. So how do you do it all?
I realized today, I blurted out while talking to somebody about this stuff, that I don't think I believe in balance. I think that sometimes you need to lean a little bit one way, sometimes another way. And I try to look at life in terms of what the biggest priorities are, the biggest goals in the moment, and give them the most weight and give less weight to things that don't matter as much. So that's a bit of my strategy. Um, you were asking me about also kind of where this came from, like my positive message, and what the whole reason that I meet up with people and chat with them about my journey over the last while is because I hit a point a while back, about 3 years ago, where I just felt a bit stuck. I had a little bit of a niggling feeling of discontent, and at first I didn't really know what was going to take that feeling away, but I decided to commence a whole bunch of positive habits. around exercise, nutrition, mental health work, reading, all kinds of stuff. And I didn't know which thing was going to hit it, but it turned out a combination of many things were really what helped. And again, why I'm here and why I talk to people about it is along the way, as I've been posting on social media and sharing my journey, my hiking, my fitness streak that, that I've been sharing along the way, I've had a lot of people reach out either by phone, text message. I've had people ask me for resources for family members of theirs. And I noticed that the more I told people about that, having that feeling of discontent and what I did about it, people are coming to me and saying, you know, I've been feeling like that too. And can you tell me more about what you did about it? And so that's the thing, is just talking to people and also doing podcast interviews and sharing like this and with different audiences. I just hope to have that same impact on other people that might be feeling the same way.
Yeah, can you share more about your story?
It's hard to know where to begin because a lot of stuff has happened. A fun thing probably to share is that I guess I was about 6, 8 months into doing all of these healthy things for myself. Um, Part of it, amping it up a little bit on the exercise side, was I decided one day in August 2020 to start adding a hike of the local mountain near our house. uh, it's just like a walking path kind of thing, and it involves 450 stairs and then a bit more of a walk after that. um, I started doing that on my weekends in addition to boxing workouts that I was doing during the week. I was just trying to get that little bit more. And after a couple weekends of doing this and feeling how great it felt, I decided to sort of carry on and do it every day. And then a couple weeks into it, I think it was around 15, 16 days or so, I was listening to a podcast. This is another piece of the positivity I would bring into my life, is just while exercising, I'd be listening to all sorts of content about positive mindset and sometimes business stuff, sometimes marketing things. I mean, we know there are so many podcasts out there. Any topic you can think of, you can find great information about it. And yeah, I'm really grateful for that in life, podcasting. Um, but anyway, I was listening to this podcast. I think it might have been Mindset Mentor, and it was talking about how to achieve the things you want to achieve. And it was so simple. I think it was 3 steps in this one episode. And it was saying that the 3 steps to achieving something are to make a specific goal, to write it down, and to tell someone. Set it specifically, write it down where you can see it, and share it with somebody for accountability. And I'm walking along in nature and listening to this, and I thought, I've been doing this hike like 2 weeks in a row now. I wonder if I could do it for 50 days straight. Like, that sounded kind of crazy to me,
What?
but I thought, I wonder. I thought, well, I'm close to 25 or something. Like, 50 might be possible. And so when I got home and I was sharing this with my kids about the podcast advice, I was thinking accountability. I decided to tell them, do you realize that I've been doing this hike for 2 weeks straight or more now? And they said, no way. And I said, yeah, I was thinking I would do it for 50 days straight. Well, they jumped on board and they started writing the number on the wall on like our dry erase board and keeping track of it. And I did hit 50 days. And then I hit 100 days and then 150. And I've been going up this mountain for 875 days straight now. So this has been every day since August 21st, 2020, up until this morning. There's been about 10 days where I've substituted it with something else. I did a half marathon. I've done some really neat hikes and runs in other beautiful places here in British Columbia, in Whistler and Harrison Hot Springs and all these. So a couple of days here and there, I've substituted it with a pretty big run or hike somewhere else. But in general, I've been doing this every day since that date, August 21st, 2020. So that's sort of one of the more fun aspects of the positive things that I've been doing.
Oh my gosh, were you always this active or was it just trying to change the habits?
It was changing habits, being consistent. I've always been somewhat into fitness. I don't think I'm the most athletic person, but Before I had kids, I used to go to a gym, the local gym, and work out usually 7 in the morning kind of thing a few times a week. After having kids, I mostly walked or like hill walked with the stroller. You get around a lot when you have little ones in a stroller. So I mostly stuck to walking. And then once they were more toddler kind of age, I ended up going to 30-minute HIIT, which is a 30-minute full body circuit training, boxing circuit training program. And I did that for like 5 years and I loved it. I did that right up to the pandemic and I'm still a member. I still go from time to time, but during the closure of the pandemic when you couldn't go into places like that, I started boxing at home and then that just doing it on my own, the boxing didn't feel like quite enough. And that's how I ended up supplementing it with outdoors. And then, there's just so much in exercising outside in nature. I feel like that could be like a podcast episode in itself, is just about getting outside, being in the fresh air, being in nature with trees around. There's scientific research. I think Andrew Huberman is the one that talks about. He cited a research study where they were talking about lateral eye movement, just literally scanning and panning back and forth while you're outside and seeing the horizon, looking around. And they didn't even say up and down, they said back and forth. And it's about widening your gaze and bringing calm. There's so much in it. So yeah, managed to stick with this every day, including this morning at 7 a.m. Probably the funniest thing that's happened in a while. I got swooped by an owl a few weeks ago, and it happened
Oh my
again this morning, and I
gosh.
was ready for it, but I was running along and I have a light on because it was dark out, and I actually had like the light on my body hit the white underbelly of this owl going over top of me, and it was pretty nuts.
Oh my god. That
So
sounds
funny.
exciting though.
Yeah, so funny.
I suffer from that for not an owl, but like birds and stuff while I'm out delivering mail. I'm outside and
Yeah. Oh
working a
yeah.
lot of overtime. A lot of people think like that's exercise, but that's not it. That's just it gets you movement, which you need through the day. But after a while, it just became something that you do,
Yeah.
whatever. So when it's warmer, like right now we're doing winter, you're
Yeah.
not gonna catch me outside unless you're paying me.
Fair enough. I'm sure you get enough outside time.
Yes, plenty. And I'm from Puerto Rico originally. So 65 is cold.
Yeah.
30s, I'm miserable. Below zero, like really, I really have to go outside today.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I can totally
but
understand.
then on the warmer weathers, spring, summer, and some days on fall, yes, walk in the park. It's
Yeah.
amazing. A walk around my apartment complex. So I'm trying. Mine was mentally, I was having breakdowns at a lot, and panic attacks.
Hmm.
So one of my survival kit things is to take a walk. So if I can't, then I have a dance party.
Yeah. It's good to get the energy out. That's right.
Yes, I get some movement and get out of. But now I can see it. Like while you're looking at everything, it does make you feel so peaceful.
It does.
And like when you see a lake, you're like, oh my God, that is like so big, and that's just a lake. Then when
Yeah.
you go to other places, when I went to Puerto Rico, I went to the beach because a lot of my friends were like, "Oh, I have never seen the ocean. Can you at least take a video of it?" And I'm
Yeah.
a mountain girl. But I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it for you guys."
Sure.
And it's like humbles you because it's so beautiful, it's so peaceful. And if you sometimes it can be like imprinted in your head for like when you are stressed, but you're stuck in the office or in the house with a bunch of kids. I guess not my life yet. And just have that memory of like, I remember that day that I felt peace.
Yes. Yes, definitely. I find that no matter what a day brings, whatever challenges, if it's been a really busy, frantic work day, or I'm rushing around with the kids between, after work, picking them up, going to activities and all these things, I know that when I get to the running portion of my day, I think I almost count on it now. I know I'm going to feel pretty great and calm after. And that could be a big part of what it delivers to me doing these runs and hikes. It's something I count on. It's something reliable and consistent in my life. And I know absolutely I'm not going to feel worse after I go. I'm going to feel better. I'm going to feel calm. Any anxious energy is going to be expended. The fresh air and positivity. And yeah, it is so good for you.
I love it. So, any other tools that you have used in your process?
Quite a lot. Sometimes I forget to mention them. I'll just try to throw a few out. So what I mentioned to you is that when this began, when I knew that I needed a change and I wasn't quite sure what it was going to be, what would do it, I just decided to choose some healthy habits. And I mean, they can't hurt. The basic things like nutrition and drinking water, taking vitamins, really focusing on sleep very purposefully, like getting into bed earlier and getting a good night's sleep. I decided to give up drinking alcohol, which I've actually decided to just stick with for now. So that's been like about 3 years now. And what else? Oh, I really loved, you might, if you haven't ever looked at this, you might really enjoy it based on what you've told me about yourself. It's just that, um, have you ever tried anything to do with cognitive behavioral therapy?
I have research into it, and yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so I took this program and I feel like almost everybody could benefit from it. I'm no expert to be speaking about it at all. It's a course I took once, leading right around the beginning of the pandemic. I was finishing it up as the pandemic started because I remember it was an in-person class and then it went online because of the pandemic. But I feel like it could help just about anybody with thought process, with problem solving, with creating some separation between what is something to be anxious about and what maybe is just a challenge that can be solved. Or so again, not an expert, but my experience is that when you're feeling an anxious moment or rumination, a cause for worry, and you kind of can't get out of that loop, they talked about this in the class about looking at what your thoughts are and kind of how realistic they are and what are some different thoughts that could be more helpful in the moment. And yeah, I mean, there's charts and steps you can look at online about this, but it really helped to just remind yourself to take a realistic look at what you're thinking. And also, what was really helpful was being in a class and we were all types of people, men and women, different backgrounds, employed, not employed, people who were quite uncomfortable leaving the house, even to have come there, right out to quite outgoing people like yourself and me. And so I found it really interesting to be amongst all types of people and have everybody sharing that they have these feelings of anxiety or discomfort. That was really good. I don't know. I would struggle, I think, to think of who couldn't benefit from cognitive behavioral therapy, and especially um, even passing it on to kids too. I think it's a great thing to put in a
Oh
child's tool
yeah.
as well. So
I
that
was
was a
thinking about,
piece as well.
sorry, go ahead.
That was another little thing that I did. I'm trying to think. Done a lot of different things. Tried a little bit more focusing on meditation. I'm going to do a little bit more toward that this year. Make that part of what I want to amp up in my routine and habits. Working on it. It is really interesting to see how much your mind really does wander when you're trying to
Oh yeah.
focus and meditate. One thing that's pretty cool that just came to me again from Andrew Huberman, back to the thing we were talking about, widening your gaze and calm. Um, Also, I notice often at work, even that there's so much going on. I do like an operations role, but also work in a bit of marketing, and there's just a lot of different moving parts happening a lot. And when I find that I'm having difficulty focusing on one part of my job, one task, I remember that Dr. Huberman talked about looking at a small, like a spot, like right now there's a post-it over my divider behind the computer. So even something smaller than that, a dot or something that is not too far away that you can just focus on for like, I think a minute, and it tightens your gaze and it brings more focus when you're actually trying to focus, when you feel like your mind is all over the place. And I have used it a bit, and I think it does really work. So if you're thinking of a bunch of different things at once and you're having trouble focusing on the task at hand, I've done that. I've leaned back in my chair and looked at a spot on the wall for like a minute, and it sort of helps reset you. It's pretty interesting. You should try it.
I will. I will keep that in mind. uh, yeah, anything else that you would like our listeners to, my listeners to know about you?
Well, one thing that you and I were talking about before is just that I think a lot of times that people people can have high expectations of themselves based on thinking all the perfect things that we see on social media and how everything looks polished and people have it all together. And I really think that it is so true that we do need to have relationships with people that we can share with, and connection is so important. And I know it's not easy for everybody to get out and do it, but if you can find some connection with people that you have like interests with and can build relationships with, and that you can get to a point of sharing things with, I think it's just absolutely paramount in life to have that, to feel a sense of community and whatever normal is, just realizing that people around you are going through the very same things that you probably are without realizing it. So I think it's important to just make sure that we go easy on ourselves and do what we can at times, and sometimes some balls are going to drop, and that's okay. And the idea of perfection is not really where it's at. I think we can do a lot more if we give ourselves a bit of a break. I mean, you, with all the episodes that you've done in podcasting, did you say 100?
Yeah, I'm over 100.
So I'm sure you've learned some things along the way, and
Yes, it
some
has
things you
been
want to
like
repeat, maybe some things you don't.
definitely. I love it. It has brought new skills. It has brought up new network opportunities and amazing collaborations.
Mhm.
So, and it's giving me confidence now to like share my story
Yeah,
and tell others in hopes that it will help them,
yeah, you can't replace that experience. It is so helpful and so important. I was listening to a podcast this morning actually about habits, and James Clear, that wrote Atomic Habits, was on it. And so I know I read his book a couple years ago, so it could have somewhat come from this, but they were talking about giving yourself permission to reduce the scope of something, of your goal, but stick to the schedule of it. So say like, I mean, I was able to draw the example right back to myself with the hiking that I'm telling you about. I don't do exactly the same length every day. Not every day does my schedule allow for me to do the entire thing or go for a massive run, but I want to do it every day. I want to set foot out there and get it done every day in whatever measurement it can be, whatever amount of time. I just want to make sure that I have done it for myself. And them saying that, it was Tim Ferriss and James Clear talking, and James saying this about giving yourself permission to reduce the scope. So if somebody is like thinking that they want to exercise 5 days a week, if they can do, I don't know if their goal is 45 minutes or something, but the days that they can't do 45 minutes, if they can do 10 minutes, that's better than doing nothing. And the sense of being able to count on yourself to show up, even if it was 10 minutes, it's it really delivers. It really hits. And it feels so positive. It feels like a point of strength and power, like, oh, did it again. Okay, it wasn't the full thing. Who cares? I did it. I showed up. And it's one of the best things you can do for yourself, I think.
Oh my God, just with my last interview, Jessica Connolly,
Yeah.
and she's a writer from Kansas. So I was so excited to have her on my podcast and everything. And I mentioned to her how I loved how she was sharing her writing with stickers. She will have this calendar and she will give herself a sticker every time that she did 5 minutes of.
Yes.
So she did that, and then she added another minute and another minute and whatever. And then some days she didn't have to, but she was going through the grief of losing her mom. So
Yes.
it was something to keep her motivated and not judge herself if she didn't do it or nothing, because she had a lot of emotions to go through. And
Hmm.
I was like, oh my gosh, girl, yes, I'm stealing your stickers idea, because
Yeah.
it's like giving yourself validation. It's like, I did it. It doesn't have to be a 3 hour hike, but you got out there and you walked. Awesome, amazing.
Yes.
Give yourself a sticker, literally and figure. You know what I'm trying to
Yes. Yes.
say.
Yeah, that's the sticker thing is a great idea. I've also heard these stories about, I think it was, I think Jerry Seinfeld talked about don't break the chain, something about making sure that he wrote every day and putting an X on the calendar every day that he did it, and it makes a chain, and just keeping it going to, for the same reason what you're saying about this writer is just making yourself do it for some time every day in whatever capacity you can. And then the sticker, the sense of celebration, giving yourself that pat on the back so that you can feel that the positive feelings from having accomplished it in whatever way, shape, or form that you could, but you did it.
Yeah, and we're so bad. I don't know about you, but I am horrible at celebrating anything. I'm getting better at it. And with the help of my mentor, that she's always like, oh, why are you celebrating today? And I'm like, really? I have to think about a celebration? Fine, I guess I'll do that. But
Yeah.
I'm getting better at it. And it's like, we do it for kids. They give us the ugliest pictures ever. And we're like, oh my God, that was amazing. That was a dragon. No, it was a puppy. Oh, that
Yeah.
puppy is so
Yeah.
cute. But we don't do it for ourselves,
Yeah.
as
Yeah. I
growing up.
I didn't really think about that, but I don't know what, randomly you just brought that up about really not you being someone that's not celebrating like that. I just realized that that's something I do too, that I will treat things like a to-do list, and when one is done, I go to the next one. One is done, go to the next one, the next one, and I just feel like there's always so much to be done. I definitely think I forget to stop and celebrate. Okay, that's done. How did it go? Like, what would I do differently or whatever? It's just like, oh, okay, flip, that's gone. Let's go to the
Yeah.
next thing. And yeah, I just wrote it on the corner of my page because I think it is really important, and it is something that I would like to be a little better at. And like you just said, kids, celebrating with kids, they are really good at celebrating things and being excited for things coming up and making the most of the moment, and all the things and details that go with it, where I feel like I am so focused on the mechanics of things that I'll just push through it and go on to the next thing.
Yeah, seriously, if it wasn't for my mentor, I'm on a year and a half of loving myself. So it's a new journey for me. And
Yeah.
celebrating myself, this is like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
So it's a process and I'm getting better at it. But because my friends are like giving that celebration all the time, because I work a lot. Most of Before it was 6 days, 12 hours for the most part, but I'm trying to stop that and cut the overtime. I say I have been begging for months for a pay cut. So now I want more time to myself to celebrate the little things, because like I mentioned earlier, over 100 episodes while having a full-time job, while trying to still connect it to my family and friends. It's not easy. It's a lot to put
That's a lot.
one human being.
Wow. That is a lot.
And as mom, I can't even imagine how is that, because you always have so much to do, and then when you're done, you're like, oh no, I still got more.
There's
So
always more.
it's more of like stopping and being like, today I didn't do much. I don't have kids, I don't have a husband, so I'm living my best life. I did a podcast interview and I was like, hey, yeah, let's do this. Then I had a dance party. Then I did some shorts in a dress because this before this interview is live. I'm going on a retreat and it's all about the feminine side and everything. So I got the dress delivered through Amazon today, and I was doing shorts in the dress. Like, oh
Fun.
my gosh, I feel like a princess, and this is
Good.
awesome. And I'm trying to get those feelings again of
Yeah.
feminine and celebrating. I did vacuuming. Yay!
Have
It's
some
just
fun.
the
Yeah.
energy that it brings.
Oh, that's so cool. I mean, we do that a lot actually at home too. We have music on a lot, like pretty much, I don't know, most waking hours in our house from the time anyone comes downstairs into the kitchen and hits the music from the computer, and we will have music on pretty much as long as we're in the house. We don't usually have a lot of like TV on unless the kids are watching something in the evening or something, but we have music on a lot, and I feel like it sets a good vibe. The kids have grown to the point where they're like, "Can I pick the music today? Can I put on my playlist?" and stuff like that. And I just feel like it's a fun way to promote a good mood in the household. Good feeling.
Yeah. Oh, anything else that we forgot to mention?
I did have something on my mind that is a really positive tool that I've been using for the last probably 3, 4 months. That is like so simple, and I mean it's so simple that I'm like, oh, maybe everybody's already doing this, and I just caught on. But um, I would notice that again, with just having a busy family, that the time of year of September here in Vancouver, when school is starting out, it can feel like a really busy time for family life. Usually, not only is school starting for us at the beginning of September, but also that's usually when new sports and activities will start for the season from September to June. There's that feeling of coming back from summer and maybe not wanting to. So it's trying to get in gear. And I I can't even remember what made me do this, but starting that very first week, probably the day before school started, I sat down with my coffee on the Sunday or Monday. Monday's Labor Day, and I made a list of what was coming for the week. I wrote down just very simply on a sheet of paper the days of the week. I wrote the date of this week at the top and wrote out the activities every day. And what I ended up doing, I did this every Sunday from then on, and whether I wrote it in the morning, the afternoon, or if it got to the point where I hadn't Sunday dinner, I would bring it to the table and kind of write it out while we were all talking and eating. And I found that it would really help me get my mind organized for the week. The kids started really liking it, really participating in it. And I noticed after a couple weeks, what was also working was because I would put it on the fridge, they would go to the fridge to get something and they would look up at it and think about, oh, what's coming tomorrow? What do I need to do? What thing do I need for that activity? Or do they have a special lunch at school? Or do I have a meeting and it's going to create a schedule conflict with somebody else's activity? So having this thing just literally written out, I did it in marker, like in color to make it really fun to look at and make it bright and attractive to the kids. But writing it out did so many things for us. And I've been doing this now every week since September. So it's been about 4 months or so, and haven't missed one yet. But I found that it's made the kids invest themselves in what's coming for the week. It's helped us all talk about if we learn that something's actually going to be a conflict, somebody needs to take someone here, or my husband's going to be at a work meeting or something like that. It shows the kids problem solving too. They see when we figure out that there is a schedule conflict, how we're going to deal with it. And we all talk about it together. And I just feel like it is so simple, but it has really helped with that kind of feeling that some of us get on Sundays about, oh man, here comes the week again. It's going to be busy at work and busy with stuff, and there's so much to do. I find that this activity of writing it all out and seeing it and letting the rest of the family see it and help with it too, where they start thinking, oh, I'll get my own thing for that thing on Wednesday. I'll make sure that I get it and put it in my backpack, or all kinds of things have come of it positively. But it's, yeah, again, it's just been the simplest thing, but so effective in keeping the mind straight and having us work together all as a team. It's literally one sheet of paper that ends up on my fridge every Sunday evening and drives the week. It's been good.
I love that. I'm the queen of planners, so and tools and everything else. So
Yeah.
I will have a planner for different things. But now that I got my first wall calendar,
Yeah.
I can see like, oh my gosh, to get the family and everything involved. So I love it that you put it as simple as just having something on your fridge.
Well, you just reminded me of something. Modern kind of parenting is that we all have our phone, and our phone, like our iPhone calendar or our Google calendar or our reminders. This is like a typical busy parent thing. You have it in
Oh no, I'm losing you.
because they don't see it. So by doing this tool, by writing this thing out that everyone can look, it has meant that
Hold on.
they can be invested because it's in front of them and it's
I'm having technical difficulties. There you go.
yeah, I know a lot of people really like to have a paper planner, and even like with my work stuff, I have a workbook that is, I don't put any of the personal stuff in so that I'm at my desk and I'm focused on that. When it comes to family stuff, a lot of busy parents have their phone and it's got a Google calendar or your iPhone calendar or whatever it might be, and all the important appointments and reminders and all these things tend to be in there, but your kids can't see that. So can't they don't have the same, it's all kind of abstract to them, the idea that they have to be at a sport or get their thing or whatever it might be. They don't know, they're not going to remember it. They need it in front of their faces. So really, having this piece of paper on the fridge has helped them participate in the whole thing and really drive it in a way that takes a little bit of weight off of the busy parent and teaches them a little bit of time management and organizing. So that's been good.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank
Um, as we're coming to the end of the interview, thank you so much for coming and sharing so positive energy and your skincare business and all. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Jenn Geneve. It's JENNGENEVE. Lots of E's. Our skincare is LaVigne Naturals. Actually, LaVigne spelled the same way as Avril Lavigne's last name, LAVIGNE. So we're lavignenaturals.com. And I'd be happy actually to, if there's a way we could hook this up, we could send out a sample pack to any of your listeners who respond about it. So I can get that out to you. Yeah, that's probably how to reach me.
Yeah, I'll make sure that I have all the links on the description of the episode.
Cool.
So as this episode will be live in February, I'm gonna
Oh.
try. I already have two guests and I haven't asked their question back, but I got you. So what are you loving right now since it's the month of love?
I am loving that we are planning a family trip in February, which is something that we're all looking forward to. I'm really loving that I've had the most amazing opportunity to help Ukrainian newcomers to Vancouver over the past few weeks from late November till now. Made some new friends this way and really seen the love and kindness of people giving to these people. I've been facilitating a lot of donations and help for Ukrainians landing in Vancouver, and I've loved it. Learned that I'll literally drop everything I'm doing to have the opportunity to help these people get settled. So
Mhm.
that's been something I'm really loving, and I am still loving my fitness streak of 875 days. And back to the original point, just loving this opportunity over the next little bit here to spend some time with just my family and connect with the kids and have some fun.
Awesome. I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming onto my show. I really had a pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you. It's so great to finally meet you, and it's been a great chat. I look forward to talking again sometime. You have a great one, okay?
Thank you. So, for my YouTube listener, remember to like and subscribe and podcast. Thank you so much for your support. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Now, hope you have a blessed day.